Hello, and this is still the first module on bonds. And now we're on topic 3, looking at who invests in bonds and why. So let's have a look at the slide over here. We're still comparing bonds and shares. And as we said in the previous topic, that unlike shares, there is no transfer of ownership when it comes to bonds, whereas there is a transfer of ownership when it comes to shares. When it comes to liquidity, depending obviously on the quality of the shares and the quality of the company issuing the bonds, or the quality of the bonds themselves, it's fairly easy to enter and exit the market. So from that perspective, shares and bonds are liquid generally. And when it comes to cash flow, as an investor, you would want cash flow, and the cash flow that you would get from investing in shares is a dividend. Whereas when you invest in bonds, the cash flow that you get is a coupon payment or an interest payment. And that interest payment can be quarterly or every 6 months, depending on what the terms and conditions or the bond indenture states. And then in terms of risk, shares are riskier than bonds because for shares there is no guarantee of, number one, getting a dividend, and there's no guarantee of getting the capital that you invested. So if you buy shares, for example, 1,000 rands, and the share price does really, really poorly, you stand to lose the full 1,000 rand that you've invested in buying the shares. Whereas for bonds, the company that issues the bonds is obliged to pay back your full capital that you've invested at the maturity of the bond. And then in terms of creditor ranking, so should anything happen to a company that's either issued shares or either issued bonds, where, for instance, they're in financial distress, in financial trouble, bond holders are usually in line to get something from the company. So in terms of where they stand, we say that shareholders are last in line because shareholders will basically get whatever's left if there's anything left. However, depending on the subordination of a particular bond, bondholders do stand in line to get something from the company. And that is all for this topic, and stay tuned for the next one.